I'm Pauline.
Hey, I'm Priscilla.
I'm Pal.
And I'm Tamiron.
And this is the P3T podcast.
Woo!
Our resident cat.
Oh, today it's bad. Hey, you are sending the pictures for Jen.
Yeah. It's taking a minute.
It's okay. Okay, that's enough time elapsed there.
Yeah.
So, welcome to this episode of the P3T podcast. Today we're going to talk about our Wrapped. First of all, Happy New Year to you guys.
Woo! 2023 coming in clutch.
Yeah. So we record our episodes in bulk, so us they're still in 2022 at the time of recording. But Happy
you
New
will be
Year.
in 2023.
Yeah. So in the spirit of the new year, we just wanted to reflect on our 2022 and just prospect for the new year 2023. Yeah. So this episode is called the P3T
Wrapped.
Yeah. So in line with the topic, we recently came out with Spotify made our Wrapped for us, and it was 1.2k minutes of content, 23 countries, and
it wasn't 1.2k listens.
It was content
Minutes.
That's 1.8k listens.
Oh. Alright.
As of now, you can share the podcast and increase the number.
Yeah.
So it was 1.2k minutes of content, 1.8k minutes of streaming in total, 23 countries, and I don't remember the last one. Yeah, but based off of those statistics and based off of what we saw in our analytics, what did you think about our Spotify Wrapped? Priscilla?
I think we've made genuinely a lot of progress, especially in terms of the growth in numbers, especially since I've used that word a lot, especially. I think we've done really well for a podcast that started that same year in 2022. So the fact that I think we started on April 25th, our first episode, right?
It was April. I don't remember what date.
What did I say? April?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I said episode. Okay. We started our first episode. Our first episode was on April 25th.
Wow.
And
I love that you remember.
yeah. And it's we've had so many listens, like 1,000 plus listens, which is amazing for a first podcast, for a podcast that started in a matter of months and has grown to this extent. I think the only way we have is up now. Like we can't go down, man. We can't.
We cannot.
So I'm genuinely happy about our progress, and looking forward to more wins.
Yeah.
Tamiron?
First of all, I genuinely believe that in all those 23 countries, there was a listener. You tell me anything about a VPN? May I know there's someone from Japan who listened to us. No. See, there's a Kenyan there.
Yeah. Sorry.
I know my mom contributed to this because every time she traveled, she would listen to the episode from that location. So that contributed to it.
Your mom is so cute. My parents barely know that I have a podcast.
My mom just knows I have a podcast, but has never been bothered to know what to talk about.
More. I don't know what to say about those comments.
You can take them out if you want.
But what else was I going to? The mask. Okay, I'm just going to give general comments. The masculinity episode, especially the first one. It did very well.
Shout out to the boys.
Shout out to the boys.
P3T!
Much love. it actually was the second most listened to episode from our analytics.
After being your best friend.
Yeah. So I'm waiting for the day that episode will be topped because I am tired of seeing it at the top. We need something new over there.
Especially because it's quite cringy.
It's quite cringy. But yeah, I'm actually quite happy. For those who just discovered us recently, welcome from the rock you've been sleeping under. Welcome to the right side of life. And stay with us.
Yes.
But yeah, man, those analytics made me so happy. I'm so excited. And I'm so grateful for everyone who listened. Hata kama you listened for
No,
1
listen to
minute.
the full episode, please.
Yeah, hey man, listen to the full episode. I promise it gets more interesting. But yeah. I'm grateful to God for giving us the courage to do this. It's been beautiful. Yeah.
What do you think about our analytics?
Oh, I think they're dope.
End of comment.
I think they're really, really cool.
Yeah. Thank you, Pauline. I think to me they were like a bit shocking, because especially achana like listenings. I'll talk about that later, like listens, but we've produced over, because at the time I don't think we had released episode 26 yet.
At the time of Wrapped.
I took it.
At the time of Wrapped, we had released everything.
Oh, we had released everything, but they hadn't counted it. Well, let's count in October. So
That makes so much sense.
So, So I feel like it's mind-blowing that we've been able to create over 1.2 thousand minutes worth of content. Because we're like in the top 10 of society and culture of content created. Yeah, Sindio Karen. We're in the top 10 of creators, like the amount of content generated by creators. Yeah.
We're 90 something.
Yeah.
We're in the top 10, yeah.
We're in the top 10 percentile. Oh. Yeah. So it just shows like how consistent we've been has put us where we are now. And I hope like in the future we can keep being consistent. We can get to having proper online meetings again. Our schedules may align, and God may just align us to his purpose and his will for this podcast. And then also overwhelmed by like the amount of people who have listened. So to everybody who's ever like shared, listened, given me feedback, DM'd us, like I really appreciate you guys. And then to all my friends who are bullied into listening to the podcast, thank you for listening. Kuna wengine, I will get to you. But anyway, but like all my friends who support the podcast, like even these guys, Kina Tamiron, Kina Priscilla, they know them. They're like, this Instagram account, it's so supportive. This Instagram account, so supportive. So yeah, thank you guys so much. Like I think on behalf of everybody here, I think we're all super grateful. Yeah. Because without you, we wouldn't be here.
That's true.
Yeah. So the second question. So the podcast began on April 25th. That's when our first episode was released. So, but in reality, like we began in March. I think. And then Tamiron texted all of us. Yeah.
Hey, the way you remember this date. I love it.
So,
Around there.
yeah. So around March 30th, like Tamiron texted.
13th.
Oh, sorry. Around March.
It was like midway.
Yeah. Around March.
Sorry.
March 13th. Tamiron texted all of us, asked us like, told us she wanted to start a podcast. Are we down? Are we willing? We sat down, came up with a framework, kind of argued about the framework.
We did.
Yeah, we not kind of argued, but we kind of disagreed. We had diverging opinions. But then like we came to a consensus, and then the podcast was born. We had our trailer.
Honestly, I don't. That's the one thing I don't really hate.
Oh my gosh, I hate it when we are like, and this is the
P3T podcast.
I thought did we do it for the trailer?
Yeah, and it was only and you've never done it again. Even episode 1
we did it. We didn't do it for episode 1.
We did it for episode 1. Yeah, and that's why I don't like it.
Yeah,
It's so
because it was so
cringy.
cringy.
Anyway, please dethrone episode 1.
Yeah.
Please somebody dethrone.
We need something to dethrone that episode.
I can't bear that chorale. Hey, we can't be women's chorale apart of that. Yeah. So since March 13th, how has your life changed since starting the podcast?
I think for me, it's changed in that I've learned consistency. I've learned teamwork, collaboration. I've learned even connecting deeper in a more intellectual level and accepting and respecting new ideas. So, in terms of consistency, the fact that we commit in terms of growing this podcast and doing whatever is necessary to grow this podcast, be it sharing, be it even liking our own post, our own reels, our own
After this,
with our spam accounts, man. It has shown that there's always like you put that effort so that you can see something bloom, something grow. You must water the flower so that it can bloom. And I think this whole process has been a journey of learning consistency and commitment. It's like a toto, like a child that we have nurtured all together. Tamiron doing the edits, Karen the PA and the manager, Pal the what's it called, the snippets creator, Pauline and I, the social media managers. It's amazing that we are able to coordinate these things and make sure that the child has its nutrients, has its clothing, has its warmth. And now we've grown to where we are. In terms of collaboration, again, we share out the work. If we're busy, one can chip in for the other. It's just good to know that we're working together and growing in that department. Also, what did I mention? Teamwork or relationship. I mean, a connection.
Intellectual connection.
Yeah, intellectual connections. I think we've grown in that department because, like, with our conversations, there are sometimes that they have a lot of controversy. Sometimes it could lead. I think the time we're talking about marriage.
I think that was the first time we very publicly had
Like
different views.
Really?
Yeah.
Kwani what was the conversation about marriage?
The one we were talking about marrying someone out of
Oh, outside your face. Yeah. I remember.
It was like, way, because it was like an hour long. Like we had
The tangent of that episode even shifted.
Oh, yeah. It was false of commitment.
False of rebellion.
And
other shows.
Now you can tell you looked at the title. Then I'm like the title.
Either way, like it's very interesting because we learn from each other, we learn different opinions, and it's just nice having to understand and get where this other person is coming from.
And agreeing to disagree.
Yeah, it's just a vibe generally. Yeah.
How have I grown? I think the starting of the podcast began a very experimental phase of my life. I was just like, man, if I've started a whole podcast, like, what else am I limiting myself from doing? Like, I can, carry the whole world on my shoulders.
Yeah.
So when I get into a new phase of my life, I usually take time before I try experimenting. So when I got into uni, a part of me wanted to take a semester or a year off, or a year before I joined like any clubs or any whatever. But man, I jumped into uni. Mara was in KMUN. Hey guys, I think that must have been the hardest thing I did. Joining KMUN and being so active. Like, literally, I went for my first debate a few weeks ago, and normally, as a normal person would do, you want to see the vibes. Because honestly, I didn't know how. I didn't know the flow of events. I didn't know what comes after what. So, I mean, the rational thing to do would have been to sit down and be an observer and see how things are actually done. But I actually jumped into it, wrote a whole position paper. During the debates, I actually was being vocal, nini. I don't think that's something I would have done normally. But how my year began with the podcast encouraged me to just do it, because what do I have to lose? So if there's one thing the podcast taught me, is that self-doubt is a scam. It's actually a scam. Imposter syndrome is a scam. Like, once you get to the other side of it and you look back, you're like, and yeah, there's no point for the self-doubt. It was just being, it was it was unnecessarily there. So yeah, that's definitely one thing I've learned.
So the question is how I've grown.
How your life has changed?
How my life has changed since starting the podcast. I think my life has changed. I think I've become more analytical about the way I approach certain things. Like, I've taken the time to kind of think through different opposing points of view. You know, because sometimes, like, we'll bring something up over here and then it'll blow up into an entire debate, and, you know, I'll be like, Kai, how would you even reach that conclusion? But, like, I've become way more like, I tend to see a fuller picture of the story thanks to the podcast. Before, it was kind of just my opinion that I knew of. Yeah, that's definitely how I've changed, I think.
I think I've become more confident in my faith, because when I started, the only apprehension I had towards that being part of the podcast was like saying the wrong things and upsetting people, and peak social anxiety era. So, but even I still don't struggle with that, but I've learned to be more confident in my opinions, especially when it's not a situation where people are coming at me just to argue. It's people are coming to me, and like we've landed in a conversation that ended up in a difference of opinion. I've learned to articulate my opinion without feeling bad about it, or like to just be more confident about my faith. Another way it helped me is it's a different way of professing your faith. When you tell people, I have a podcast, yeah, you should listen to it. Then you listen, and then you'll be like, oh, Paul is a Christian, and then now you hear my opinions, don't have to say. For me, it's a different form of evangelism. A form of evangelism that for now can cope with my social anxiety, Yeah, I just feel like I've also been more assertive. Like, I've cared less about what people have to say. So this podcast has genuinely changed my life to just, because here, even though we have difference of opinions, like, I know I'm still going to be friends with you even after we leave. Yeah, it's only when you're coming at me to argue with me is then I'm just like, okay, I'm not having it. Like, recently somebody sent me a video to argue with me about something. I was like, okay, thanks for sharing. I didn't even say anything. I was just like, I'm not going to argue with you, because we talked about it like in the beginning of the year, and then now we argued about. Then now I need to make a video, and then I was like, okay, Sarah. Thanks. I'm not going to argue. Yeah. So it taught me also when to fight and when not to fight. Although I fight more than I don't fight. It taught me when to fight and when not to fight. Tamiran.
To add to, not to add to, but just like Paul said, assertiveness is also something I have really learned from this podcast, because I come here and very publicly profess my faith, and that comes with some obvious things that I can't do, and I don't know, just the fact that I publicly can say it, how much more difficult is it? Like, in my mind it's easier to say it to one person than to say it to 15 million
Amen.
people. So like if I can publicly say it, it should be much easier for me to say to your face, like, okay, I won't join you, have fun. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to mesh these next two questions because we don't have that much time. So now that your life has changed, the year has progressed, what challenges and successes have you faced in your personal lives since starting the podcast or since the beginning of the year? Because March was like the beginning of the year. So your challenges and your successes. Pauline.
I think for me, my success has been, I genuinely feel like this podcast has made me a better Christian because, not because like of reading the Bible, like yes, because of reading the Bible and all of that, but also just because, like I mentioned before, it's made me a more tolerant person. And I think like that's a big part about being a Christian, being able to, love other people, a challenge for me though is I feel like oftentimes because it's like a public platform and then it's like I am a Christian, sometimes I feel like we are speaking on Christianity, and I feel like our opinion might be taken as dogma, which our opinion is not dogma, by the way. We are not the church. We do not speak. Do we speak for the church?
No, we speak for ourselves.
Yeah, we don't speak for the church.
Speak for the church
No.
These are 5 maybe individual opinions.
Yeah. So I feel like sometimes it's not really like a practical fear. It's just paranoia. Where I feel like if someone was to stumble against our podcast, they'd be like, oh, yeah, those Christians, the way those Christians act. I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, I don't know. I just like kiss.
Priscilla.
Successes and challenges. After starting the podcast.
In your personal life, yeah.
I guess the successes are basically okay. Number one, it's tied in with what Tamiran said, being open with now my belief, and it's like it saves me the hassle and bustle of explaining myself. So like
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like it's just like if you want to know about me, check P3T podcast. You can hear my opinions about certain things if you are interested or you have the time. Also, I guess another success could be now the kind of things that I've learned per se, like in my personal life now, being committed, being consistent, having engaging conversations, because nowadays actually when I'm having conversations with my schoolmates, there's this person that in my university who's like my mentor. When I have conversations with him, I tend to look for key pointers that maybe could be a topic for the podcast. So like my conversations are now driven to like a conversation that could be centered in enlightening people or something that could be beneficial to someone. Yeah,
you're a better host than me.
So like I think that's a success for me. Also another success could be I think the independence and owning your thoughts and opinions. Yeah, like it makes me more, again, like I think one of you mentioned about assertiveness. It makes me more strong in what I believe in, because I have now a community. Now you guys, we share a common belief and we're able to stand true and strong and accountable for one another in our faith. And it gives you that independence of like, I'm strong. Like if there's a weakness in my faith, I can lean back on my friends or on our hosts of the show or the podcast. I guess a challenge per se would be, again, the days you don't feel up for it. There are always going to be those days you feel like you're not in the mood. So I guess a challenge is continuing the consistency and the commitment to it and reminding yourself why you're doing it. So sometimes you need to constantly tell yourself, I'm doing this to impart people, like reminding yourself so that you can have that zeal. And then another challenge would be like sometimes you have conflicting schedules. And it's like our online meeting.
Yeah, guys. Yeah.
We're struggling with that, but we try to make it work. I feel like this whole podcast has allowed me to see, I don't know, I think my main takeaway from this is commitment. And I feel like the fact that even this kind of level of commitment can be reciprocated even in our relationships with other people. Like we decide
with God.
Even with God,
Man.
Yeah, like that level of commitment of staying true, even making things work even when it looks impossible. Like we have a good phone that records our episodes. Then we've moved to lapels. So, we're growing, and it's that level of commitment, financial investment, time investment, energy investment, so that you can get that required outcome. So I like that. It's great. Vibes and inshallah. And hallelujah. Yeah.
I think for me, I'll start with a failure. For me, I don't know that I'll call it a failure. A challenge. Yes, that's the one. A challenge I faced this year, especially after the podcast began, was the fact that I automatically assumed that starting the podcast would automatically make me a better Christian. Automatically will automatically make me a stronger Christian. I didn't really think, like I was just like, start a podcast. Hey, first of all, I'm evangelizing. Number 2, I know it will just make me a better Christian. I feel like I'll just be closer to God. But I didn't actually conceptualize what that meant. So sometimes we'd be recording, or like it would get to the days where we need to record. I won't even lie, maybe the whole month I've not read the Bible. So I'm like, what value am I giving people if I'm not even nourishing myself? So that's something I would beat myself about, because I'm just like, you can do better, but why are you not doing better?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely a challenge I faced this year, because how I dealt, what was a success was the fact that I was able to meet you guys. And
but you knew us.
No, like I knew you, but they know you.
Well, I weren't.
She didn't know at least Priscilla.
Yeah.
I didn't know Priscilla. I knew you guys, but the level to which I know you is way
deeper now.
Yeah. And I knew Pauline, but Pauline were we even as close?
I thought we were.
We were, but compared. We were. But compared.
But yeah, we've definitely gotten closer.
Yeah. And you guys actually challenged me to grow that relationship I have with God, to spend time with God every other day. And then also our our collaboration with D3T made me
Shout out.
shout.
That group is called, it's called anything but D3T.
Well, those relationships we formed that day actually helped me because, man, it was very one of the guys. It was very inspiring how he knew the word and like
I didn't even sit up. Hey, that's so true.
The appreciation.
yeah, it was so inspiring, and I was just like, hey, actually, now I feel like
It was humbling.
Yeah, it was humbling. Those one, okay, no, I feel like if I single them out, it just makes it
You'll have to single out something good about each
everyone,
one.
yeah. But anyway, like the way you could tell, the way you could tell, like this person is not in our level, like spiritually, it was so inspiring. Because I was just like, yo, how do you do this? I literally got.
Did you ask?
I did.
Alikupea tips.
Pea me
nataka tips.
I got it on my fingertips. But anyway, I actually was like, you know what? Enough talk about how you want to grow your relationship. Do. Hey man, if there's something that is a vulnerability that is not expressed as much as it should, is the humility that comes with asking for help. Hey, I had to swallow my pride and be like, yo, I actually need help. To be very honest, this is not an area I've been thriving at. I need help. How do you do it? I need to know how you do it. I need to mirror it where I can. So actually, without the podcast, where would I have met this person?
You're welcome.
I was waiting. Where would I have met this person? Where would I have met you guys? Okay, I would have met you guys.
Yeah, but like in this way.
In what year? To what level?
Even met as a group. Yeah.
To what level would I have known you guys that you would have been an inspiration for me to grow my faith?
Yeah.
Right.
Pauline, I don't know if you remember, but there was a day I sent you a voice note and I was like, you get me, I'm tired. Like, my spiritual life has been down in the gutter and I don't like it. That same day is when I went to now this other guy. But then also, your advice was very instrumental. As much as it was like 2 words.
I mean,
It was actually very instrumental. And I'm grateful for that. You get. So that was a success and a failure. Yeah.
Right. I think for me, definitely my spiritual life has grown because, like, even if during exams, during exams, time is of the essence. But I made sure I would at least read a Bible verse, And then, like now, after my exams are over, because now they're over, now I really want to be intentional about getting back onto the horse because that's something that I struggle with. When we go on breaks, there's no routine. So then I don't go and have my Bible study or my devotion. When routine kicks in, that's when it kicks in again. So at least 3 months a year, I'll ilegeza, but I'll try. Pray for me. Lakini itakuwa 2023. Nitakuwa nishaingia shule. But what it's helped me with is like consistency with the podcast has helped me with consistency with reading the word. So, because now of what Tamron you said, like I wouldn't be able to give anything if I don't get anything. And on Saturday, I said it in a previous episode, we were talking to the teenagers about sexuality, and like there are some people there who are like, for sex before marriage, as long as it's for them, the line was unsafe sex. That's where the line was drawn. So as long as they had safe sex and they were fine. So I was just, without reading my word consistently, I wouldn't have been able to give them relevant examples to help them understand where the Christian faith stands and why Christianity says what it says, And at the end of our discussion, they were like, but, okay, it's okay. They didn't have anything to say because they couldn't defend. And that's how the word of God is the truth. Because when the truth really prevails, there's nowhere you can argue if you don't have other facts. You'll be clutching at straws. Yeah. Another success, I'm going to put it in quotes, but I've really grown creatively, visually, visual creative, whatever, with the snippets. In episode 1, I didn't know what to do, so I would go on Pinterest and search, even for episode, until episode 20, maybe 15, let's say 15. I was always going to Pinterest to search for aesthetics, then from episode 15 onwards, as long as I knew the episode title, midweek, let's say Wednesday, assuming I make the snippets on Saturdays, by Wednesday I start thinking about what I want, snippet designs, and then visuals would come to my mind of what I want, of what I need. Except some of them, they were made in a rush. But at least now I've been able to see that I can grow in other areas. Even if I can't draw, at least I know I can visualize graphics. Even though I'm not going to make them from scratch, I know I can use Canva. So it's challenged me in that way. A challenge that I faced, we all know. I faced social anxiety. That's not me.
Yeah.
And I've conquered it. No, I've not conquered it yet, but
You're conquering.
positive
strengths day by day.
I'm progressing. Yeah. So I don't even know. Another challenge I faced is learning to love people. In this one person, one specific person, I need to completely forgive and start to love, because I love the people around them. Them I don't completely like. So, and it's because niliumwa. I was hurt. But now just learning to move on from that, because I realized even after they were out of my life, they were still consuming my energy, my everything. So I just I need to learn to forgive them and love them.
You reminded me of another success I've had this year. I realized during some point this year that I struggled with love towards some people. And I remember telling this to, I hope it doesn't mind if I say her name, but I have to say her name, Charlene. And she was like, but love is a command. Love is a command. It's not a suggestion. I was like, yeah, you're so right. So from that time, I literally found ways of loving these people. Before that, it felt so impossible. But God gave me, because honestly, that was God. He just opened a way for me to love these people. And it was beautiful. Man, it was very beautiful. Yeah.
Mimi nataka tu kusema na appreciate kwa BTS ya podcast.
You do a good job
by posting late.
Kuna wengine hawaposting late.
Much love, guys. Much love.
Sakwa better will be better.
Asanteni asante kwa Timro kuni invite. Hiyo ndio nilikuwa nataka kusema pekee. Also you all holding me accountable for reading my Bible. Niko karibu kumaliza Isaiah. Nipigiwe makofi. Sijui chapter 58 59. Sasa nataka kuona kama nyambura kama nitamaliza. But
mbona unaambia this is it. Because I hate being called any version of my middle name.
Even it itself.
No. I like my middle. I'm okay with my middle name, but like
Yeah.
Nyabu, Bura.
all those boobs. I never. When I listen to that, that's disgusting. Yeah, but any short form, I'll never respond. Never.
Even Nyam.
Never.
Maybe so happy to be called Nyams.
That used to be me with Pauline until people started calling me Paul or Paul. Yeah.
Oh, when you say Paul's, I remember Paul's Cafe.
That's
no.
That's a cafe in the airport.
Yeah?
It's in the airport. Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah.
Paul's Cafe is
Yes.
in JK.
Yeah.
Sio uongo. Ni ukweli.
Hiya.
That's why the prices are so expensive.
No
A donut goes for
wonder.
200 bob.
Actually,
A muffin.
a muffin. Vanilla.
Tutakula muffin ama
Tutakula a whole meal ama muffin.
Even chips is 180. No, how is
Wako na
that?
ambience.
See, hakuna kitu.
No. Guys,
Oh, you guys.
Okay, so
I had one question. I promise it won't take long. Oh, what will you have left in 2022?
leave behind. Like
Okay, let me
troubles.
start. Or like an aspect of yourself or something. I'm leaving. What I'm leaving in 22. In 2022 is my inconsistency with God. That's the one thing I'm determined to leave in 2022. Yeah.
I want to say same because that's a good answer, but I also want to say personally to me, ego.
You know, Pauline, you keep on mentioning ego in like so many episodes.
hatuoni.
But Sioni.
Labda ni Juku is a collaborative environment.
I think though, part of it is just in my head because I'm generally very good at filtering. So a lot of it doesn't come out, but I think it. I definitely think it.
It's not a joke, but it's funny. Forgetfulness. Zero memory. Like it's I bought a book from the library, like to just read a novel instead of scrolling through TikTok. I didn't read a lick of it. It stayed in my bag and I carried it around everywhere. Sikuisoma.
Ulisai kwa bag.
Hapana.
But that's not memory, that's just you not wanting to.
No, I just didn't know. But at that time, I was like finishing assignments. I picked the worst moment to do it. Like I had like 5 million assignments, so I didn't even have time to read it. But my resolution is like just forgetfulness. And it's okay. Because like even in church, how was I forgetting that we needed speakers for the teens program? How was I forgetting that we needed a preacher? I just needed a deputy. And when I convince him to, if you're listening, I know you're listening to it. If you're listening, this is me propagating my propaganda. Yeah. Priscilla.
I guess we've all said this at some point in our lives. Toxicity. Either way, I think every year we leave behind toxicity, but
Get right back up.
January.
but not toxic friends, not toxic family. Those ones in Ishara were cut off.
Toxicity within yourself.
Yeah. My toxic traits, which can be self-sabotage, which can be negative thoughts over myself, which can be just other things. Also, selfishness, because if I'm to be honest, I can be selfish.
Man, same.
Yeah, I can be very selfish. I'm working through it, but I think it's because most of the time I realize people can take advantage of me. So I just put up a whole tower of Babel of a wall to like protect myself from
That's not a good example. Can I tell you why that's not a good example? Because it fell.
A wall of China.
okay, yeah, like the wall of China.
No, but it is supposed to fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, like I just put that whole wall so that I can hide myself and protect myself from manipulators, from people who can use me wrongly. Also, another thing I'd want to leave behind, and this is the last one, is doubt. I feel like I just need to trust God more. Okay, I've seen him do great things for me. I just need to even trust him when I don't see anything. Like trust him wholeheartedly, blindly. Just give myself to him. So submission to God. I think that's one thing I need to work on. So I'm leaving behind out. Yeah.
So we don't have time. Oh, Karen, do you want to say something?
Yeah, something controversial. Like people will be like, "What do you mean?" But like something I want to leave behind is idolatry.
What do you mean?
There is, in the sense that anything we put above God then becomes
An idol.
like just during exams. I was like, God, my exam is at 8 a.m. No, 11 a.m. I won't read your word. I'll read like a Bible verse, and I was like, that's putting something over God.
You're just contradicting what I said.
What do you mean?
I said even if I have exams, there's some Mangalo Bible verse.
No, but I didn't end up reading that Bible
Oh,
verse.
okay.
Yeah, so I was like,
I find myself in that situation as well.
Me, so many times. I can't even think of one. Like, I have so many.
yeah. So like, I'm not saying I want it for my exams, but like I should have planned around this quiet time, you know.
I've been so poor at planning for
Quiet time.
scheduling quiet time. Hey,
Yeah.
such a struggle. Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
It's okay. Also like even with a lot of things, even with like my plans, I'm like, if this doesn't happen, then I go like this, then like this. I'm not like, God, here's what I want to do. Here's what I think is right. Like guide me in your everlasting way. Like even me wanting just yesterday, me wanting to like go and shut the whole church down because of something that happened. I'm
quite a drama.
Yeah. Yeah. So things like that, instead of trusting that God will deal with them and deal with their hearts and whatever. So like leaving behind idolatry, and maybe pride in that sense. So leaving behind idolatry, putting things above God and myself above God and my actions above God and trusting Him. So kind of like you, Priscilla.
Amen.
So because we don't have time, we're all going to say to close this off. Yeah, Priscilla.
No, I'm just copying you.
Oh, okay. So we're all going to say one word about what we want to see for ourselves and for the podcast in 2023. So one word for what we want to see for ourselves and one word for what we want to see for the podcast in 2023. Priscilla. Now that you're copying me.
One word for what we want to see ourselves and one word we want to see for the podcast in 2023. Okay, one word for me. Happiness. Genuine happiness. Those are two words, but happiness. Like happiness and fulfillment. For the podcast, okay, growth was this year. I think that would have just described 2022.
Well, 2022 was the start. So you can say growth, yeah.
But for 2023, I want it. Okay, this would sound weird, but like I'd want it. We hit the climax. Prosperity, yeah. Like even sponsorships now.
That's bad.
Even me, that was my
Yay! Great minds think alike, my guys.
Yes, sir.
Tamiran.
For myself, consistency. For the podcast, I was going to say growth. Growth.
For myself, commitment. For the podcast, sorry, my brain stopped working. For the podcast, listens.
Karen.
For myself, discipline. Niache kufika class 10:59 na class kwa 11.
Ayo, umefika wapi?
I was being kind. I'm not that early anyway. For the podcast, nishasoma sponsorships bwana.
For myself, balance. I'll explain it in a future episode maybe. And then for the podcast, advancement. Yeah, just a synonym for growth. Yeah, so thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being with us throughout the whole year of 2022.
Don't take it for granted, man.
Yeah. We really appreciate you guys listening, and we can't do this. Genuinely, we can't do this without you and without your support. Make sure to share this episode and all the episodes of 2022 with your friends, your family, your friends' family, anyone that you know.
Family, friends.
Yeah. Anyone that you know, make sure to share with anybody. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at P3T Podcast. Please like the snippets that me and Tamina work hard to make. Please like the posts that Priscilla and Pauline are working hard to generate and to create. And the stories that Karen makes for the episode. Yeah, you can send us and tumesema 2023 the word is sponsorships.
So let's your sponsors there, our baba.
Just to be clear.
Yeah. So tunataka Coca-Cola once again. I'm looking at who? I'm looking at you.
Unataka Nike wewe ama?
What?
Nike for myself.
Yeah, Nike for Tammy.
Oh, but
for yourself, not for the podcast. For selfishness.
what? Okay.
But it's okay. Me, I don't need to get a Nike sponsorship to our waist.
Minutes are embarrassed.
Only Priscilla and Tammy don't deserve. So you can email us at p3tpodcastke@gmail.com for those sponsorships. Tafadhali. Yeah. And you can listen to our podcast everywhere. Wherever you listen.
Everywhere.
We're there. Yeah. So you can listen to our podcast anywhere and share them to anyone because they can listen to it anywhere. And then turn on that VPN, turn on all the VPNs in 50 countries at the end of 2023. Yeah, and we really appreciate you guys. I hope you have a fantastic new year.
Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah. We will see you guys next time.
Bye.